A few weeks ago, Tisha Campbell appeared on Finesse Mitchell's podcast where she revealed that Damon Wayans didn't want her to play his wife when they were casting My Wife and Kids. The reason why is because, according to Tisha, Damon didn't see himself playing next to her after she became known as Gina from Martin. Tisha decided to go on to the audition anyway, ignoring the advice of her agent who told her that this could ruin her career. After crashing the audition, Tisha found out that Damon and the network loved her so much and she got the part. Today on the show, we have our comedy hype analyst Pierre calling in alongside actor Jonathan Adams to answer why Tisha's decision could have ruined her career. Now, Pierre, I'm going to start with you first. Tisha was very vocal in saying, a 10 out of 10, she does not recommend actor and actresses to do this, as she explains this story in full detail. But after watching it for you, why did Tisha's decision, could have ruined her career? Why do you think so?
Nobody likes to be surprised. No producer wants to be surprised. They kind of have their mindset on who they want, who they don't want also. And if you're not being called in, they most likely don't want you. And that can be, that's a bold thing. People don't like to be, surprised or one-upped, let's say, in this business. And with her doing that, that could have really caused some trouble, made people feel uncomfortable. Hey, it worked out for the best, but trust me, if it hadn't worked out for the best, we wouldn't hear about the story. And I'm quite sure there's a lot of stories in this business that people have done some extra things that wind up not being beneficial to them. So she got lucky with this one here, but normally, no, they're gonna figure you might be difficult to work with. You don't understand the process, and it can hurt your career that way too.
Absolutely. Now, Jonathan, I want to come to you next. First of all, thank you for joining us today. It's such a pleasure to have you on the show. After watching this, what were your thoughts?
First of all, it's good to be here, y'all. You guys are funny as heck. It's professionalism is very important in this business, and people really respect that. And if you're not professional, people have a tendency to disregard you or what you can do or who you are and all that kind of stuff. But it really could have messed her up, man. And people don't, you don't get how important that is to people. And like Pierre was saying, people do not want to be surprised. They don't want any surprises. They don't want anything different. They don't want anything new. They don't, people want to see what's expected. And they're expecting to see, Gina. You know what I mean? When they get in there, they're not expecting, what Tisha's going to bring to the new role, and that's another problem. I think that, first of all, the casting people have in the first place is that they don't see you as something new every time you come in there, even though you can do something different every time. You can come up with something totally different for this character that had nothing to do with the other character that you've been playing for 8 years. And, they don't see that as a possibility most of the time because, first of all, they don't know. You know what I mean? You gotta educate them.
And I think you hit the nail right on the head, Jonathan. I think this conversation really is surrounded around, the proper etiquette when it comes to auditioning. Tisha made it very clear that she would not recommend this to actors and actresses. This was just something that, she was just going with and something she had been doing for a while. She said, so for you, when you were auditioning for Last Man Standing, what was that process like for you to kind of talk about, the proper etiquette for actors and actresses?
Well, okay, first of all, again, I got to say, though, I mean, this is a whole different thing, but Tashina, giving her the sides and the script and everything, that's a friend. I don't have any friends I do that for.
Yeah,
that's right. Oh, you might beat me on this. I'm not going. I would have them showing up somewhere in Santa Monica at a warehouse. You know what I mean? I wouldn't
True that. That's real talk.
The audition here is.
Yeah.
No, so that's a great friend.
Absolutely.
And secondarily, what to answer your question is, it was just a regular audition. And I just think that, there were a couple of jokes in there that I was like, I get this. And I don't think this is what they're expecting. So I played it that way. I played it the way I wanted to play it. And that's how that's how you get it. You give them something that they did not see from the other, 8 guys they saw.
Right. Now, Pierre, I do want to come to you next, Pierre, because I think the other side of this conversation is how unorthodox Tisha was in pursuing this role. Have you ever, and I don't know why I have this little hinge, but have you ever had an experience where, maybe you had to do something unorthodox or you felt like you needed to do something unorthodox to get a role?
Yeah, I did. But let me talk about something with that real quick. First of all, Tisha did something very daring. She put herself in a position because sometimes, like John was saying, we get what's called typecasting. Once you see somebody doing a certain thing, even us as people feel like, they'll see you on the street and say, that's Gina. No, that's not Gina. Her name is Tisha Campbell. We start thinking that person is that person. And that also happens with cast directors. They feel like that person's known too much for that role. People won't believe her in anything or him in anything else. So sometimes they don't get another chance. So she kind of had to, do what she did to get in that room. Say, hey, I got to get in this room to get this thing done because y'all don't see me as someone besides Gina. So she did what she did, which not, like I said, normal thing, but as actors, we're so hungry. We want to prove that we can do more than one thing. Don't typecast me. I'm a great actor. I can do different roles, like Jonathan was saying. So that's why she probably went around and did that. And that's a daring thing. Sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't.
So would you all say, and I think that's a good point too, this, like I said, this interview brings out so many different parts. You have the unorthodox part, you have the proper etiquette, but there's just so many things packed into this one story, especially typecasting. So I want to ask, and I'll start with you, Pierre, back to you because you kind of mentioned it. Would you say that Damon made the right move by, saying like, oh, I don't want Tisha? Or, was he right or wrong for feeling the way that he felt to not want her to come in? Because I think that's ultimately what pushed her to come anyway.
Well, I mean, now that we see how it turned out, it was the wrong move. She worked right for that part. So that was obviously the wrong move. But he went with his intuition that, hey, people may think she's Gina, and I don't want to have, people thinking Gina, I'm not Martin. So I don't want everybody look at the show and thinking that's Gina, and she was totally different from the Gina she was. And she was there to prove it. And she proved it. So she did the right thing. Let me tell you, man, we're actors. We want to work. And we'll do some unorthodox stuff to get our roles sometimes. Unfortunately for her, it worked out for her. But it don't always work out for everybody, but some people do. Remember that girl for Tyler Perry? She had a big old billboard that said, I want to work Tyler Perry. Everybody's like, you crazy as hell, girl. And she got a job with Tyler Perry. Okay? So people do what they got to do to make things happen. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. It's your career. You roll the dice. It's up to you.
Jonathan, I want to make sure we get you in there. What are your thoughts? Do you think that Damon was, right in his decision?
Honestly, I don't think it's about right or wrong. I think he was making a cold decision for what he thought was going to happen, good for his particular show. He wanted his show to be a success, and he thought if I had had this other character in here that was reminiscent of another show, it might not work. He got proven wrong.
Right, and I think it's great that we can look back, just hearing that story. It is a beautiful story. It's crazy, don't get me wrong, and unorthodox, but like I said, I think it brings a lot out of the conversation, which is always good when we can kind of get that inside story. So before we let you head out, Jonathan, I know we kind of touched on The Last Man Standing a little bit, but could you tell us a little bit about your role before we head out and where we can catch it?
Well, it's on Thursday nights on Fox. Is it Thursday? Yeah, Thursday. I can never remember because they keep moving the day. It's on Fox at 9:30, and it's Tim Allen's show, and we got a strangely diverse cast. There's me, and there's other people who because it's a white family, but we got me, there's Jen, and we had. We always have all kinds of different guest stars of different whatever, and so it's a great show.
I think that's a great way to wrap things up. We like to give love, so definitely congratulations to you. We look forward to it, and let's make sure that we check out Last Man Standing. Thank you all so much for calling in. You heard from us. Now we want to hear from you in the comments below. Why did Tisha's decision almost ruin her career? Let us know what you think down below. For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson.
Put it in the comments.
Do you know the comedy culture? Play Comedy Hype, the game. Out now.